So, my friends, we are on a journey by understanding the teachings of one of the great masters who lived in 11th century. We are going deeper. So, in the last session, that is why I discussed that consistent, systematic, regular study over a length of time with commitment helps us to awaken to the real self. And I also pointed out that is the highest yoga. But to be eligible, if I have to if I have to do PhD, I have to do my master's and bachelor's. So that bachelor's and the master's is becoming like a seeker. And that seeker is committed, sincere. To whom? Not to anyone, but to oneself. If one is not committed to oneself, this is not going to happen. No, no, I'm always committed to myself. I can say that. I can give you a couple of examples to understand that. If those things are happening in your life, we have to get rid of it. We are pure consciousness. So every time listening and learning, contemplation and reflection in a live session, we understand that we are every time your mind, teacher hammers your mind, no, no, we are pure consciousness. But due to the ignorance, we are not aware of that essential nature. Just think last week something happened. Pay attention. How the thought, we are going to talk about this thought, language, communication, how that communication and the thought veils our real nature. I am consciousness. But what to do with my love sitting in New York City and I am in California? I made this statement. No, one guy made that statement. I have changed the location. Just a young guy contacted me, what to do with my love sitting in New York City, which is almost, almost I think 3,000 miles away, Stephen. And I'm here in California. How to make one understand that this love came in your life after you are consciousness. Are you getting it? But if you are not a seeker, you will not understand. So that guy pushed me. You understand me. My love is sitting in New York City. And that is why I am obsessed. That is why I have anxiety. That is why I have a problem. He's not paying any attention. That is why I have a lot of stress. Did you see? A thought. It is a very small thought as compared to the all pervading consciousness. So a thought has veiled that consciousness, and this young guy, he doesn't want to budge. So I said, then I will charge you as high as possible. At least let me see if one can commit to that journey. No, no, I'm not committed to the journey. Why I'm not committed to the journey? You see that, it is such a simple problem, simple issue. I am in love with a person. I still talk to her. I don't know whether you are getting it or not. So the thought that is being expressed also veils my real nature. That is why listening and learning, contemplation and reflection, that removes the veil. Regularly, commitment, you are attending the session, and that helps you. Sometimes existence also does it. Right? I was having a last session of New Jersey group. So I just got an email from one seeker that there is no voice in your audio file. Nobody else sent me that email. So at least I know that at least you open the file. So sometimes existence also helps us. We go just casually. We go casually. We need not to worry about it. In one of the session last week where the dentist was present, and this woman was just pushing, asking unnecessary questions. We go casually. I didn't say, I didn't stop. So another guy stopped it. No, you cannot ask any question. Because I'm not focused. How you gain that focus? I'm saying it, pay attention to it. You have to contemplate and think about this guy. He says it is such a simple issue that I get obsessed. Tell me how to remain in love with the person who is sitting in New York and I'm sitting in California. I'm telling you, these are the real life stories. So, did I have that kind of love couple of years ago? No. Now I have it? Yes. Is it the entire life or is it a part of life? Ask yourself, answer it. It's a part of life. Can I recognize obsession? No. I'm in love. So what happened in love? I have lost interest in studies. I have lost interest in business. I said, then I asked him that what is the goal of your life? Oh, just to find that love, I'm feeling so much insecure. Well, find your love. So the role of a teacher in this journey of the Eastern wisdom to show the seeker that we are peace and happiness. And you are not ready. Then continue. Then continue. So before we go to the another verse, which is very deeper, but which is very simple also, I have to give you certain metaphors to make you understand. We used to rub sanitizer before we touch anything during the COVID, everywhere in the world. It's a universal problem. Ignorance is a universal problem. We used to rub sanitizer, before we touch anything and after we touch anything. We rub sanitizer again to prevent the COVID infection. Listening and learning, contemplation and reflection acts as a sanitizer before we enter into this world of relations and people. If there is not a constant and a continuous learning, it is not going to happen. Try this out. Ignorance is like a COVID that we do not see. Still, we need to use this sanitizer. I don't see I'm in obsession. I say I'm in love. I'm frustrated because, I'm separated by the circumstances. The same way we should live in the world using the sanitizer every day, the moment we wake up in the morning until we fall into the sleep. We have to develop an immunity against the delusion, attachment, and detachment. Otherwise, we cannot reach to that state. And immunity from the delusion, attachment and detachment. The person is there. I'm attached to, but I have applied the sanitizer. Attachment is gone. Such a simple thing to understand that you were not attached to that girl and now you are attached. Can you really understand this? No, I cannot understand. I'm in love. And you want to meditate. You want to, not possible. If we don't use listening and learning, what helps? It awakens to us. It's kind of dispassion and discernment. When there is no discernment and dispassion, we are not a seeker. Those people simply argue without any reason. They do not get anywhere. And these people attend the session, they leave the session. They rejoin the session. Falls again and again. Falls into one problem, then the second problem. They enjoy the intellectual understanding, but their lifestyle does not change. Think. So in every session, the master teacher reminds you, you are the real self. You have a problem. It has some element of lack of dispassion. You have not used the sanitizer. Pay attention to it. What that means? Now we have forgotten to use the sanitizer. But during the COVID, we made it sure. We all used it. I'm just giving a real life example. We never forgot it. Even you have started driving the car, you say, oh, where is the sanitizer? Let me bring it, from the home. No, let me use it first. And you have rubbed it even on the steering before you started driving. Remembering that only comes by regular listening and learning, contemplation and reflection. What it means. Now, from this thought, what exactly you derive? What conclusion you have? In the state of discernment and dispassion, remember in the background that you are the real self. If that awareness is not there, attachment will hammer your mind and makes you crazy. So in other way, we see that can I cultivate the love for the real self? I have heard from the master what the Eastern wisdom says. Love for anything in the world is attachment. Why remember this all the time? Otherwise, I'll be entangled more and more. I will be overwhelmed with its danger, its grief, and the sorrows in the world. And the more I think of the worldly thing, I have to get attached to it. No, no, it is my first love. I didn't say anything to Desmond because he is not a seeker. It is the first time he talked to me. My first love is sitting in New York City and I'm in LA. Do you understand? I said, yes, I understand. What is your stress score? That is, very high, 9 out of 10. Do you have a stress in love? What a great love that you have. What a great love. You are the only lover in this world. We do not understand this. That is the part of the ignorance. It is the COVID that infects every young people at certain age. So it's not a big deal. He said that my goal is peace and happiness while I'll keep my love. That means attachment. I have left working. He did not tell me. Even his near and the dear ones doesn't know that he has left mentally and emotionally he left working. He's pushing himself. I have to lay a foundation for a new verse, understand in a different way. Great master used to say, a maid servant in the house of a rich man performs all the household duties, but her thoughts are fixed on her own home. She brings up the master's children as if they were her own. She even speaks of them as my son, but in her own mind, she knows very well that they do not belong to her at all. I have applied sanitizer completely in this world. Did you understand that? That is the idea of understanding two powers of ignorance that I discussed last time: power of veiling and the power of projection. Power of veiling, hiding. I do not know the real self, but the knower that I do not know is the real self. Did you understand? When I say I do not know the real self, there is a knower in me which says I do not know the real self. That is the real self. It is present here. Then I am not the real self. What is then what is here and now? So you see that I am carried away by the thought. Take the same example of the boy. Boy says, my love is sitting there. But who says this? The knower in me. Are you getting it? Knower in me. Who says this? I forgot that. Then what happens? A body mind complex of that girl who is sitting in here, and body mind complex is here, sitting here. This is me, that is she, and I'm in love. It's a very, very subtle principle. I'm not the real self, then what is here and now? Body mind complex. And I project myself as an individual. So I see you as an individual with whom I am in love. Everything is happening in the mind, and that is the ignorance we all are suffering from it. We need discernment and dispassion, a consistent learning, awareness behind and beyond the body mind complex. The moment I say, I'm attached to you, I don't say I'm attached to you, I'm in love with you. So I'm in love with the body and mind complex. I forget that. Another master gives a beautiful example, the turtle. Have you known that turtle? They go to an ocean beach once a year and they lay their eggs. And then they say goodbye to all the eggs, but their mind is always on the bank of that beach of that river, an ocean, where they laid out their eggs. What the master is talking about? Let me do my all my duties all the time, but keep my mind on the real self. Mind means I'm aware that I'm the real self. The world, the entire world in which we enter without discernment and dispassion causes the ignorance, and ignorance causes the suffering from one problem, from an obsession Then the boy's parent may say that, what the heck you are doing? Why don't you pay attention to the job? And the boy says, no, you don't understand me. I have a lot of challenges at this time. Then you are overwhelmed with the attachment. It's grief, it's sorrows. So that is why you see the three highest steps. I told you the highest yoga: listening and learning. After that, I should contemplate and reflect. Tell me about the same boy. How long it takes him to think, how many years it took me to be attracted to this girl, and they both are attracted to each other. So both had kind of an attachment. Oh, just it happened 2 years. Before 2 years, were you happy? Yes, I was very happy. Now you are unhappy with the love. You don't want to see, you don't want to understand that. Apply the same thing to day life. It is such a small thought, I love you, and it covers such a all pervading consciousness. I know many of you have a doubt how this all pervading consciousness can be veiled. I'm giving you by the thought itself. If you are attached to someone at this moment, you will listen to it, but still your mind is there. It is wailing. That is causing the stress and ignorance and duality and a conflict and anxiety and the reaction. Stephen might have understood, he referred me, so. I have real life examples. So the teacher sees very deep inside. Teacher sees the real self in you, and from there, they talk to you. You don't see that real self. So you see the three aspects. Listening and learning is very important, because listening and learning every time helps you to separate. Here is the real self and here is the false self. You get a new perspective. Then you contemplate and reflect, so that intellectual understanding gets a conviction. And then you go into the solitude. We normally say solitude means that you practice meditation. So I sent a very high bill to this guy, and then he has to write to me. So from his perspective, I can think. He thought that, look at this beard guy, he's so crazy. It is such a small problem. Either if the girl comes to me or if I go and meet her, the problem is solved. Why is charging more? To remove your ignorance. So, what can I do? So sometimes we lose a lot of stuff. So, but that is the way of life is. We are not. So again, you see, when I say lose a lot of money, no, that is a small thought as compared to live into that awareness. Hmm. Now, I'm not opening up. That is what happened to Webb, but in a totally in a different way. Now it's gone. My friends understand the small thought, I love you, means I'm obsessed with you. Pay attention first. I love myself. And that love, I love myself, is the real self. Then only I love you. I love you, such a small thought. What is your height? 5'6" or 5'8". Compare, I love you, such a small thought. That is causing the trouble to you. What a You see the beauty of this ignorance that we are surrounded by all the all the time in our life. What happens, but ignorance it has created is so huge. I'm obsessed. I don't say I'm obsessed, but I'm in love with you. And that's why, I'm always thinking about you, so far from you. So these two small thoughts has created such a huge, even larger than the space. It has blocked my mind. I forget my peace and happiness and joy. Do you see the power of ignorance? Behind our obsession, there is someone who is not obsessed at all. That is why you talk to me. See, that is why you talk to me. Because that knower is not obsessed. Look at this. Uh, Seer is subject, that seer, we forget it. So the master is pointing out. He doesn't talk of any religion, nothing of the God and nothing. He doesn't talk of any cult and dogma and belief. He says, understand, put your reason and get out of the ignorance to live into that state of the calmness. The main idea is that the ignorance is what causes us to mistake our reflected consciousness or ego as a real self. My ego says I'm in love with you. It is looking, it is like looking in a mirror and thinking your reflection is the real you. Another way to explain that is what we discussed last time, that there are two powers of the ignorance, two powers of the ignorance. One hides, other projects. I'm in love with you. What it means? I'm the love, and now I'm saying I'm in love with you. So it's a willing power. And the second power of ignorance takes over instantly, because it has projected love on you. Finished. I'm gone. That is why Master says, in a semi darkness or in a dark light, a very little light, you see the snake in a rope. Two powers of an ignorance. Just imagine. Just imagine. Every young guy who is in love, they think that they are the prince. It happens, it happened to all of us, at some time when we were young. Imagine a prince who gets amnesia and start thinking he is a beggar on the street. This is ignorance. He has forgotten his true royal heritage. We have a real law heritage. We are the real self. This is the veiling power. So it veiled his memory of being a prince first, and then the projection makes him believe fully that he is a poor beggar. And then mentally and emotionally, I'm suffering. I have everything. So this boy lost totally touch with what he is doing. He's doing just out of the force. Why? There is a pressure. No, no, we don't say anything. I have created my own pressure. He's not yet interested in business. So go back to the prince. One day the minister recognizes him and reminds him that you are actually a prince. Come on. Ignorance is removed. Veil is gone, projection disappear. He realizes that I am still a prince. For that you are charging so much of money. That is the journey of the self-discovery. What a relief you get. We need not to do anything but to discover. But there is a problem of impurity and projection. Again, do you see that? That is what I have explained by giving the real life example of this book. Where is the problem? We need not to do anything. It is so simple. But the problem is of impurity and projection. I don't want to leave. The idea and a thought that I love you, I am obsessed with you, I cannot live without you. When you are in deep sleep, did you not leave her? But I cannot say to her. I cannot say to this guy because he will say that you are crazy. You don't understand me. It is so deep. And that is why we start with talking about the impurities and projection in a different way. Why? Because I have already live in ignorance. I think I'm the body-mind complex. My love is sitting outside. Have you heard about some vampires? We have many stories that the life of one demon is living in the bird. So if you squeeze the neck of the bird, the demon will die. We have many stories. I'll talk about that later. So we have the same state. We have the same state. Are you getting it? That girl carries the life of this boy. This is the message of ignorance has two powers, and that is expressed by the thought. And then I stick to that thought because I feel this is a reality and I don't want to get out of it. There is a problem. So now that ignorance and the projection have been expressed by a thought in my mind, and that thought is ruled by the ego, and that ego does not go easily. I'm not talking of ego as opposite of humility. No, no, opposite of no, no, I'm rude. These are the emotional expressions. I'm talking of I thought. When I say I am in love, I'm talking of this I. I am stressed. I'm talking of this I. What we need to do, only the now knowledge. Remedy is the knowledge. Just like the prince with amnesia who forgets his true identity and suffers, self-knowledge is the remedy. But there comes another problem. The false logic can derail me from the journey of the Eastern wisdom. What's the problem if I love someone? There is no problem. But first understand what is love. You see the false logic? Where is the problem? No, I love you. I love her or I love him. There is no problem at all. But do you know what is love? No, I love her. That is love. I don't want to change. I don't want to inquire. So you are derailed. Already you are derailed. You cannot understand that. We have to be very careful about the false logic that denies actual experience and argues against the pure consciousness through the reasoning. Another false logic, you see that, I have already answered you. You can pick up. No, you say that the real self is self revealing, it is all pervading. How the ignorance can hide it? I've already given an answer. Small thought. You say this real self is all pervading, it is self revealing. How can it veil it? Ignorance cannot exist. Your mind gives a wrong argument because I'm obsessed, I'm living in ignorance. If the sun exists, how can the darkness veil it? Without darkness, there is no hiding. So darkness cannot exist. If the health exists, how can disease affect it? Without disease, there is no sickness. So disease cannot exist. This false logic denies the existence of anything contrary to the real self. Because we are to analyze the way we think, the way we experience, and the way we express our thought in our day-to-day life. So that's why I'm laying a foundation. So we say that the false logic can be transcended by the direct experience of the knower and the seer. So now remember, and then I gave you a brief outlay of this verse. If real self is self revealing, how can the ignorance conceal it? I gave an example, the prince who gets an amnesia and he thinks he's a beggar. Though he is a prince, he suffers thinking he's a poor. I'm suffering because of my false notion. I'm suffering because my love is outside me. It hides my true identity. It hides the prince's true identity, but it is not gone. It is already present. It is hidden by the ignorance. When the self knowledge dawns, I get into this. Ignorance has two power of veiling, hiding, and power of projection. Ignorance tricks us to mistake the ego for the real self. That ego says, I'm in love with you. what we need to understand, how the listening and learning, uh, contemplation and reflection helps. I observe means I gain in cognitive ability by the thinking how ignorance hides the self knowledge in daily life. How to do that? Notice when your ego appropriates these things. Look within and ask, who am I? To see beyond ego by the self inquiry. Listen it again and again. Contemplate, who am I? Again and again. Followed by the practice, you reach there. Close your eyes. Eyes are closed. Eyes are closed. You are aware. You see awareness plus eyes. Awareness plus eyes are closed. You see you are separating awareness from everything, my friends. And if that is possible, you are there. To engage the mind, we continue, okay, being comfortable. So again, the comfort is an experience. You are an experiencer. Casually, we used to follow the same steps so you can do that, looking at the neck joint being there, feel or experience the sensation, comfort, and steadiness. Pay attention. That sensation, comfort, and steadiness is your experience. You are an experiencer. Or I can say you are a knower of an experience. And whatever, whosoever is the knower is always separate from the known. I know the mouse here lying on my table. I'm separate from the mouse. I know you. I'm different from separate from you. I know the body. I'm separate from the body. I know the mind. I'm separate from the mind. I know the thought. Which thought? I'm in love with you. Obsession, attachment. Are you seeing that? That only thing is required in the journey. But can it come in a one day? No, it cannot. The entire body, so entire body, can you see the body as an object? The way I see the mouse or a remote as an object or a computer as an object, we subjectify. Why we subjectify? Because of the such a small thought. I love you means I'm attached to you. So both the power of the ignorance hides the real self. So look at the entire body, experience the sensation, comfort, and steadiness. Then I said, looking inside is just rise in awareness, my friend. So looking inside means the space within. And then I stressed on this point that the space is awareness and awareness is space because what the mind has subjectified the world drops. Why it drops? Because the space is an objectless state. Anything that is objectless becomes awareness. No, not becomes awareness, it is awareness. Becoming would be a problem. Now, see, I'm extending that, being carefree, I'm adding that. Now, the couple of the thoughts are coming, and these thoughts are so insignificant, but I make it significant because of the ignorance. And when you make it significant, then the ignorance hides the self revealing real self. It hides the consciousness. So the thought is coming and going. You can, you remember, that's where the listening and learning consistently helps you. All the aspects of being a witness to the thought comes to your mind. Yes, the thought is coming and going. I'm a knower of the thought. What happens? The thought you are not attached to. Any thought, good, bad, high, low. Thought comes, you are aware. You is the knower. That knower is different from the thought that you know. What happens? The ignorance that has hidden drops. Projection also drops. Just apply cognitively the story that I told you, the maid servant taking care of the master's kids, playing with them, saying that you are my love. But inner awareness says that my love is sitting in my home. You see, you have separated the knower from the known. The prince separated, feeling that I am a beggar, from the knower. And he is already a prince. He was prince, he is prince, he will be. So there, these thought creates lot of challenges to us. Every thought gets entangled, and then I say, this is me and mine. No thought is me and mine. We can also invoke any principle, any thought that has entered. It was not there a moment ago, now it is there. It is constantly changing. Hence, whatever is changing is not me. Finished. Now you don't worry about whether the thought is good, bad, high, low. Are you understanding? I know that, yes, you are understanding. Pay attention to it. What I said, any thought crosses your mind was not absent, was not present a moment, a second, fraction of a second ago. Yes, it was not present, and now it has come. So what comes and goes is constantly changing, cannot be me, because I was present when there was no thought, and I am present when there is a thought. I will continue to be present when there will be no thought. Means that I is the pure awareness and pure consciousness, is the knower. That is how. So, should I think like this? Yes, you can think like this. Or you can use the mantra. So, if you think like this, and if you're thinking with awareness, so after this, there's this type of a thinking, you also get rid of this thought. What is left is the pure consciousness or awareness, the knower, or what we say, the real self of the nature of peace, happiness, love, truth, and wisdom. We don't leave anything, we live in awareness. Leaving and living. You are aware of the body. Yes, I'm aware of the body. So now there is, you do not subjectify the body as I am the body. When you do not subjectify the body, it means what? As long as the moment you say I am the body, then only you can declare that I love you. Then only you declare that I love others. Otherwise, you still say I love you after realization. But when you say after realization I love you, internally you know that love is manifesting, expressing itself through the body. Millions of the thought, any thought may pop up in your mind. Because of the past impressions, we have a strong likes and dislikes. So it means any thought with a strong likes and dislikes may hijack you, may hijack your mind. And then there is this ego that comes into play. That ego says, I have lot of thoughts, how to get rid of it. So that ego divides into two. One part says, I have lot of thoughts, other says how to remove it. And we forget who is revealing both the states of the mind. I'm using certain phrases which will help you if you listen to it every day. It will help you to understand easily the next verse in the following session. And at the same time, you are in a state of meditation. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Bring your mind on the right hand, your mind on the left hand. Lift your Buddha palms, place it on your eyes. Open the eyes inside. Know your experiences. Bring the hands down. We'll share our experiences. If you have any question, you have a total freedom to ask. How are you, Stephen? You need not to tell him anything.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm not saying a word. I especially liked the hand sanitizer. um, I find it interesting because the things we did during the COVID, I haven't stopped. So it's now a great opportunity to use the hand sanitizing idea in all of this day to day struggles. Uh, I don't. I have a statement and perhaps a question all wrapped up in this. Is that the single thought that triggers the ignorance that causes the problems. Then what we do is that being a seeker, we apply the knowledge of our listening and learning, and we realize it's that single thought and what it's making us do, and through the principles of contemplation, reflection, and dispassion and discernment, that's the real self exposing and getting rid of us being able to realize that that single thought
Yeah.
is not who we are. And then that is what's exposing the real self to us. And that's where we fall back into that peace and happiness.
Yes. One thought with such a small thought wields or hides the entire pure consciousness. Now the problem is that how to get rid of it by another thought so that both the thoughts dissolve. What is left is the pure consciousness. So that another thought has to come from the Eastern wisdom. It has not to come from the world outside. So that is why the listening, learning, contemplation, and reflection are necessary tools. We, I'm in love. So, but now, if I don't counter that, or if I don't explore that, what it means by I'm in love with you, I have to use this thought. So the master simply says that use this thought with discernment and principles of the Eastern wisdom, and then leave both. Throw all the text and teachings of the Eastern wisdom because you have already reached it. You need not to worry about, need not to be dependent on. But provided you have reached there, you have reached there. Beautiful way to put it. How are you, Dennis?
I'm fine, thank you. And I appreciate going into this question that I have been asking for some time in the past about how this ignorance can veil the entire real self. Uh, so thank you for deeper insights into the answer. And as to the practice, I was separating myself from the thoughts, annihilating one thought with the other thought,
Yeah.
uh, until in the end, I was just watching the space and I did not encounter anything, just the space and your final chanting.
Beautiful. That is wonderful. Yes, you see that you have been asking those questions, but I cannot take up those questions there in that group. That is how we have to work. The way I cannot tell anything to this boy. How can I tell anything to the boy? He's so much obsessed. He has no goal at this time. He has no goal about this business, and people are pushing him into that business. How are you, Terry?
I thank you for the teaching. I need to listen to it again.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Again and again. Listen to it again and again and again until the thought with the false logic hides the real self. That is the way. Are you able?
Thank you, sir. Sir, I'm good. I was understanding this that my own projection, I make it so bigger than me that I stop recognizing that where I am and where, this is my projection. And it was so difficult for me to understand this 3 years back, 4 years back. I could not able to differentiate between that is my projection and this is me.
Beautiful way. Very simply put, and it's a clear understanding that I am not able to understand whether I'm my projection or I'm the real self. And the projection takes over my real self. And then I create a false logic. You are talking, the false real self is all pervading. Look at my projection. It is much bigger than that. Look at that. This guy is, insulted me. So that projection is so bigger than my existence. My money is bigger than me. My reputation is bigger than me. Now, I have seen many young people committed suicide because of the social media. I can go on, I can explain you. This is what the life is, my friends. Are you shook?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, being in love is not an act. I understood.
Yes,
I mean, it is not an act, and it is the, you can say, it is a characteristic of the consciousness, pure consciousness,
yes.
and
It is another way to understand. You see that your mind reveals itself.
mind reveals itself.
It's a
Yeah.
false logic.
Mhm.
And he rightly said that I love is not an act. Because
It
the
is not
love,
an act to perform.
yeah, not
Ji.
not a love, yeah, you can say not an act to perform. Because if the love becomes an act, it is a projection.
It is
And
a
that
project.
act is attachment and
It is a
obsession.
liking, disliking. I mean, it
Yeah,
is that.
yeah. You're right. You're right. So when
Thank you.
you contemplate and reflect, your
Yes.
mind reveals itself.
Mhm.
That is where the teacher comes and helps you. That your mind is now ready to reveal that true nature. Yes, wonderful. You all shared your insight, and that is what uh, the journey of the Eastern wisdom is. That is all for today. Thank you. We'll meet
Thank
again.
you, sir. Namaste,
Thank you,
everyone.
sir. Namaste.